Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tabletop Chat. Now, in some of my previous episodes, I have mentioned that trying to start up a Warhammer army could be pretty expensive. And I have mentioned that if you wanted to go to a more cheaper route, you could probably find some good deals on eBay. But I still have some friends that kind of want to make an army, but they still don't have the funds to really create what they want. So I'm making this video specifically to show the different things you could do to try to save a buck and still make your army. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to create your own army for free. You're still going to have to pay some money. But I'm hoping this way I could try to save you a few dollars. Now, usually the best way to start off an army is to buy a battle force. As an example, here's the Space Wolves battle force set. And in the back, it shows exactly what you get. You get the drop pod, you get 2 squads, and you get the scouts. But what you also get in this set, hold on, let me open up this box here, is you get a whole bunch of extra bits, like extra swords and guns, and different types of head models. That way you can really customize the kind of army you want, and they all come on these sprues. I think that's what they're called. And I never throw these away, because I like using these for some of my conversions. And I always save those extra bits that I don't use for my army, just to make different conversions later on. Now let's say you bought your first Battle Force set, but it's not the entire army you want. You still want a few more pieces. Well, you still have those extra bits. If you want some more infantry pieces, the best way I would go about it is to go on eBay and look specifically for those kind of models you want. Now, for an example, if you want the tactical squad for the Space Marines, now the best way I would go about that is, right now the starter set for Warhammer is called Dark Vengeance. And it comes along with a Chaos Army and a Space Marine Army. But those pieces aren't customizable. Those are all snap-on pieces that are pre-made. And what a lot of people do is they buy those starter sets, such as Dark Vengeance, before this it was Assault on Black Reach, and they sell those squads individually, usually at a much cheaper price than you would be able to get a customizable squad from Game Workshops or any other gaming store. I've done this a few times to save a lot of money when I wanted to buff up my Orc army, my Space Marine army, back when the Assault on Black Reach was a starter set. Now with Dark Vengeance, you're limited to the Space Marines again, and the Chaos Space Marines. But that's not to say those are the only pieces you're going to be able to find for cheap on eBay. Well, what if there's a model that you want that's not coming along with those starter sets that you're going to be able to find on eBay? Well, that's when you got to get a little bit creative. I'm just going to show you a few examples on what you could do to try to make the army you want. And this is just what I've done. And this is to try to help you build up the creative juices in your head, see what you can figure out what you could do. Now with me, I wanted a chaplain. But of course, none of the starter sets came with a chaplain. Now, the easiest way you could have gone about it is just to take one of those tactical Marines and just paint him black. But I wanted more. I wanted a skull mask. I wanted him to look like a chaplain. And I think I've shown this in one of my previous videos, but this is my chaplain. You see, this is from the regular tactical Marine squad I got from Assault on Black Reach. But he doesn't look anything like that. And I use extra bits from those Battle Force boxes that I've gotten to make this. I use a carving knife to pretty much hollow out the head of one of the tactical Marines beneath the helmet. And then I stuck this Orc skull that I got from my Orc Battle Force set. Also an Orc Trophy skull. Cut them up so it could fit. I cut the arms up and I stuck this kind of like a staff pole thing along this icon to make it for his Krozix. These bits I actually gotten from a Chaos Demon model. I forget what they're called. It's like the big cavalry corn pieces that looks like you're riding a demonic rhino. I won that for a prize and got a few of these extra skulls that I stuck on his shoulder pad. And of course, here's a little scroll thing hanging off his belt. I know it looks like it's hanging off his crotch. That I got from another box set. And then of course I glued a bolt gun on there. Now this isn't the only way you can make a chaplain. This is just an example of what I did. And like I said, it looks nothing like the tactical Marine. So don't feel like that you're limited to only using the models the way they look like when you first buy them. You could do a lot with them. Another example is the captain from the Assault on Black Reach set. You can make him look completely different than what he is. You see, I took the front piece from him and I glued it onto the back breastplate from one of the Space Marines I got from the box set. And of course, I cut up the arms a little bit, gave him a bolt pistol, and he doesn't look anything like Captain Sicarius you get from Black Reach. And the other part of him, I forgot to bring him here. I kind of gave him like a Santa Claus head to make for my captain. But I think one of my prouder pieces I made And this is going to show what I mean on how I use these sprues for my conversions. Is I wanted a Death Dread for my Orc army, but I couldn't afford one. So I made one myself. Now this is actually made from an old pill bottle. And I just glued the sprues, well, just cut up sprues along the sides. And I used extra orc bits, which are these big choppas he has here, the trophy. I even stuck an orc head inside there. And then of course I made the legs out of the sprues as well. Then you got, this is actually an extra Tau plasma gun I had from a while ago. And then he has a flamethrower right here. And then this random orc trophies and bits. And most people first glance, they don't realize this is a conversion piece when I first put it on the table. They think it's one of the older official pieces. So this is something I made that cost me almost nothing. And then the sprues I just had laying around, and then I had the extra orc bits that I wasn't doing anything with. It was just kind of laying in a box. And one of my most recent pieces, when I started making my Chaos Space Marine army, is I really wanted to have those giant demon machines, such as this guy, whose name just kind of slips my mind right now. Now, when I bought the box, it came with parts to make 2 different versions of this guy, but only enough to make one of them. So I had to choose, but I wanted both of them. So I made this due to the guns, but I had those extra pieces to make the other one. So here's my custom piece. And this is going to start going into the more controversial way to make conversion pieces, because there are going to be a lot of purists out there that will demand that you only make your conversion pieces purely out of Warhammer stuff and not use other toys. And I've very rarely ran into people like that. Usually in the game clubs I go to, they don't care. As long as it looks cool, they'll work with it. And this guy, see, I had the extra head, arms, the tentacles coming out the back, but the body is actually from an old monster truck toy. And I'm not done painting this guy, so it's going to look a lot cooler after I'm done painting him. So this is just another example on what you could do to make your conversions. And I do have a conversion piece that I have made out of almost no Warhammer pieces, just a few, that I haven't had any trouble using yet. But I wanted a Helldrake, or a Demon for my Chaos army, but I wanted something that looked sort of unique. So I have this dragon. And I do have extra bits around his body to make it look kind of mechanical. I know it's kind of cheap. I do have like the Dark Angel bike banners going over his head. There was some Orc Deathcopter bits that I kind of cut up and put over his wings and his arms for armor. And extra, what is that? Oh yeah, that belonged to a Chaos Rhino. And I'm still in the process of painting this guy. I want to get the base colors down. But so far, people's been cool with it. And this Game Workshops does not actually have a model for this. So there's one of 2 ways to get it, which is to make it yourself, or you could go to forgeworld.com and you could get unofficial, official Warhammer pieces that people use in the games that, for the most part, are acceptable. But I wanted a Stampa, and I wasn't willing to pay over $100 for one. And this is actually from an elephant toy. And I used some old bottle caps I had, cut them up to make the armor plates. This was actually a lip balm container that ran out. Old paint bottle I'm using for this cannon. And, I cut off the trunk, moved this tusk around, and this is my Stampa. So if you wanted to go with the toy route to make some of your pieces, it's not a bad idea to stop by the Goodwill. But that does not mean that you can only just buy a toy, do nothing with it, and then use it as a piece. No, you're going to have to put some work into it. You're going to have to try to at least make it look the way it's supposed to look. Make it look like a Stampa. Make it look like a dragon or a Helldrake or a demon. Make it look like it belongs in the Warhammer. Don't just put a soda can down and say it's a Carnifex. And yes, that has happened. But what if you don't want to make pieces out of toys you get from the Goodwill or from Michaels or wherever? What if you want to officially use the Game Workshop stuff, but you can't afford it? Well, there's still different ways to get around that. I already gave you the example of my chaplain. Another example I have here is I wanted Mega Knobs for my orcs. But a Mega Knob piece, I believe, goes for like 35 bucks just for one. But I noticed that getting a box of knobs, which comes with 5 knobs, costs about the same price as one Mega Knob. Well, I had a bunch of extra bits, and I had some extra, I believe it's 40 millimeter bases. So I made my own Mega Knobs, which I bought the regular knob box, which came with the 5. I stuck them with extra bits. This is actually from the Space Marine bikes. Like I got the Dark Angel bike set a while ago, and I had some extra bumpers. So that's what he has for his chest piece. I put some armor pieces in the back. That's an actual Dreadnought leg plate he has covering his backside. Got the Space Marines shoulder pads for his knee pads. And I had the extra pieces from the regular knob set to give him all power claws and chutas. So I was able to officially make 5 Mega Knobs for the price of a little bit over 1 Mega Knob. Now again, these aren't the only ways you could go around it to make your own pieces. These are just examples. If you're creative enough, you could come up with your army without breaking the bank. And if you're going to make an orc army, it's a lot easier because orcs you don't really need to make it look good. Yeah, I'm still in the process of making my own battle wagon from an old train. They're orcs. It could look like crap and it'll still work. In fact, it'll work even better if it does look like crap. So if you're really interested in making that army, but if you're still intimidated about how much it costs, you got to understand that if you're not going to spend the money to buy the official pieces, you're going to sacrifice time to make them yourself if you have the creativity to do that. There is no easy way to make an army for cheap. You either buy it or you buy parts of it and then you make the rest yourself. It all really depends on what you have time for and how much you're willing to spend. Now, I hope that this has been able to help you out. If you have any more questions, I do have some other conversion pieces, a few of my Tau army, some for the orcs, Space Marines, and such. So just drop a line and I'll try to give you some hints. Really, it's all on you on what you think you're capable of doing. But, oh, I can't believe I forgot this. Give me a second. Speaking of expensive conversions, I'm sure you all saw Sir Stomps a lot. Now, some of you might have noticed this is not the official Stompa you get off the Black Library or off of Forge World. This guy took a lot of time and love to make. A lot of cardboard, an old jug that's inside that helped me form it, a whole bunch of extra sprues that I made with his arms, and kind of like screwing out on his body. Cereal box that I cut up to make the plates because it was a skinny cardboard. It was much easier for that. And just a whole bunch of extra pieces. And the only problem I have with this guy is he's kind of fragile, so I gotta be careful. So anyway, I don't want this video to go on for too long, so I think I'm gonna stop it at there. And I hope this helped you guys out. And I hope you guys come back for my next video, which will be a review video, and I'm sorry it's taken long for my reviews to come out. I've just been really busy. So till then, happy gaming.